I actually grew up in Cambridge, which is quite a kind of creative town. When I was going to school, there were kids older than me who were like breakers, graffiti writers, DJs and stuff like that, which I was like looking up to. And a lot of them were collecting and wearing certain clothing brands. If you came to school in like a Fila tracksuit, you were the bee's knees, you know. I had some of that stuff as I grew up. I think Polo's interesting because there's a sort of weird juxtaposition between like it being a premium, preppy, what's seen as quite upper class kind of posh label, which you wouldn't then think should relate to kids who are like hip hop kids. It didn't quite fit with like the hip hop thing, so that in a funny kind of way sort of made it even more interesting and sort of slightly different. I think there's a lot of people who don't realise that there's like an underground sort of network of collectors of Polo and Ralph Lauren and stuff. I found out about it almost not by accident, but this crew called the Lowlifes, and you know, this New York kind of fraternity of collectors stroke people who stole the stuff. And they were making tracks about if I die, bury me with Polo, you know, like bury me with the low on, you know. What? Like, pretty much sort of blew my mind a bit. Real interesting that, you know, you've got these kind of hip hop kids who are like kind of going crazy to the point of like obsession, like OCD, you know, obsessive collecting of this stuff was just like, you know, whoa, like really interesting. After a while, I just started ditching. I was like, the more and more I got into it, I was just like, I'm just gonna like stick with that. I'm just gonna like, now my whole flat is full of it. Like all my, everything's Polo now. Like right down to my knives and forks and my plates and my lights. You know, all my clothes, like everything. I was making stuff with my daughter at the time when she was young. We were making these like little FIMO kind of, it's like a polymer clay. And then I was at home and I was playing with this FIMO stuff with my daughter and stuff, and I thought, you know what, if I kind of cut like a shape of a shirt, maybe put one layer of FIMO and another layer like that with a hanger inside it, then I could have like a little polo shirt, you know, in miniature, you know, that might be cool to make. So I did that. And I made the little collar. Like, oh yeah, that looks pretty cool. That looks like a little shirt, you know. And then I showed it to my friend, another kind of collector of Polo and stuff, who actually had been collecting it before me, like getting the real hard stuff, you know. He said to me, man, they're amazing, like they're really good. And I was like, oh, thank you. And he's like, you should make more. And I was like, right, well, how many do you think I'll make? He goes, make 50. Just do 50, make 50 of them. I had like 3 or 4, you know. I was like, really? Like 50? And I was like, that's going to take me a while. I thought, but when he said it, I could sort of see it in my mind. I thought, all right, cool, I can make like the most desirable, collectible collection all together in one piece, like the ultimate collection, but in miniature. Like collectors call them power pieces. And I thought, all right, cool, that's what I'm going to do. Basically, someone from Polo Ralph Lauren in New York emailed me and they were like, what is it about? Like, why are you making these things? You know, we're interested, we're curious. And I was like, well, I'm making them because I collect it and I'm obsessed with it. My house is full of it. I went to the office in London, got the pieces out, started putting them on the desk. They were like, oh wow, like they're picking them up. Like, oh wow, they're awesome. Like, they're so awesome. And they were like, can we send these to New York? When they sent the pieces back, I got a letter from David Lauren, who's Ralph's son, and he was like, you know, we were all super impressed with like how amazing like the detail was and how obviously you understand, you know, the design and what have you. The actual physical process of making them is a very kind of therapeutic, almost meditative process. It's a slow building process. Personally, I see it as a bit of a tribute to all these guys.